Meeting via Zoom to catch up with Baf Kuka in Perth, and Baf is very excited about something that Kiah Health has managed to do. You've secured a place in the Military Suppliers Journal to, I suppose, supply the Australian Defence Force with some pretty special equipment.
Absolutely, George. It's been a long labour of love, and the ADF Journal people have been utterly amazing the way they've supported us and encouraged us to put forward our HESKIT, which is an invention of ours to help. It's a defensive mechanism that helps our military people behind the lines to be safe and to be able to protect themselves. And also it provides medical and first aid equipment so they can survive an onslaught.
Baf, what excites me is that this is available also to the allies of Australia. I'm talking about anybody at NATO, the UN, and a number of Asian countries. What do you think gave Kiah that edge that allowed it to get through and prove itself in what is a pretty tough process?
The name Kiah stands for knowledge, integrity, accessibility, and holistic. And this fitted in beautifully with the ADF's policy of protecting their behind the line and front line diggers. So that's basically that part of it. And what else has there got to say about that?
No. The point I'm trying to get to is these are normally extraordinarily and very competitive processes that you guys have to go through. What do you think was the edge? What do you think made the difference that allowed you to get the HESKIT unit in front of people that knew what they were talking about and said it's a must-have for not only the Australian Defence Force but for our allies around the world?
When I heard of the opportunity of joining the ADF procurement, I rang them up and said, "Look, this is what we do." And the guy said, "Look, I don't understand this." And when I explained, well, it's so unique that when I sent him the details of it, he said to me, he said, "Baf, you're in." He said, "Just to let you know that you are the only person in the world who has got anything like this." The uniqueness comes from our paramedic skills. It also has been aligned to our EPODs as well. And it's allowed us to empower the ADF to partner with us, and as you saw, it's sent out to all our allies all over the world. It's been sent to the state and federal territories, which means that they've all said there's nobody in the world who's got this. The way it's constructed, the way it's been designed, and it's purely a defensive matter that nobody has thought about this. This is the great thing. It's Australian uniqueness, George.
I was just going to say, I can see it in your face. I can hear it in your voice. I suppose the other excitement here too is that these HESKIT units will be built in WA.
Yes, that's exactly right. And what we said to the government when we put the submission in, a fairly detailed submission, is that number one, we want it to be built in WA. We want to use Australian engineering and Australian know-how. And the main issue with the HESKIT is that the way it's been designed is that, and also we've got a cage on the outside of it which prevents rocket-propelled grenades assaulting this unit, which means that the only people who have access to depleted uranium is the Australian government. So what we've done with them, we've come to an agreement that they will build and market this, and we'll supply the expertise in terms of the clinical aspects of what's inside this unit and how it's built. So it's a partnership between the ADF and us.
Look, from what I can gather, because I haven't had a chance to see it, it's a unique piece of defensive apparatus that offers greater protection to not only Australian soldiers, but to our allies. And I think that is exciting in itself. These are troubling times that we live in. The last thing we need to do is have to resort to this defensive mechanism. But super exciting to know, one, that Kiah is involved, two, you're so proud of it, and it's going to be built in with the ADF Industries in WA. So I suppose you and the Premier of the state would be on almost first name terms.
Well, not as yet, but we're in the process of talking to them. George, the reason why we've called it the Heskett is because it's named after a guy called Gary Heskett. Gary and I were ambos together in New South Wales. And Gary has an amazing history. He was an ex-digger from the Vietnam War, left there, came as an AMBO, was quite a senior paramedic, and then he left us and joined the New South Wales Police Force. And not only is a kind and caring man whose idea of public service is beyond reproach, but he's the guy who arrested the Murphy brothers when they murdered Anita Cobby. So the amount of respect that we have for him is extraordinary. He comes from a family of diggers as well.
Wow!
And on the top of the entrance of the Heskett, we have his medals on there as well. So it comes from a long lineage of protecting Australians when we put them in harm's way.
When you talk about that legacy and why the unit is called the Heskett, it tells me that you are super proud of it, but we should also be very proud of the fact that we have people of that calibre serving Australians and having done that for a lifetime. Baf Kuka, thank you so much for joining us and giving us a glimpse of something very, very special that we're going to hear a whole lot more. It's called the Heskett unit. It's made by Kiah in WA, and it will be one of the very special defensive apparatus that the Australian Defence Force and our allies will be using in the future. And Baf, you should be enormously proud. And once again,
I am.
Congratulations. And I think,
thank you.
And I think once again, you touched on it earlier. It's a fantastic example of not only Australian know-how, but build quality and showing to the world that Australian engineering can make a difference.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you, George, and thank you for allowing us to spread the message that we have, that Australia can do things.
Absolutely. Look, we need to stay positive, and these are great times for selling, as they say, Australia in a fashion that there are a lot of people who want to knock Australia at the moment, but we are in a unique place and doing very, very well during an extraordinary, difficult time in the history of the world, that is this global pandemic. And to think that you've notched up a big win, not only for WA, but also for Kiah Health. Well done.
Absolutely.
Tremendous stuff.
Thank you. If I can just say, we have an in-principle agreement with Edith Cowan University, their School of Paramedicine, to use their virtual reality to train all the users up to the intensive care level, so they know how to use this thing properly.
So in other words, you can get them in there from day one, and they know exactly how the unit works. It's the sort of thing. I suppose it's the sort of thing that Qantas and all those major airlines are offering when they offer the pilots an opportunity to work in a simulator.
Exactly.
So you're training.
We'd like to put, if we're going to put them in harm's way, we need to train them beforehand, because we're a training organisation as well, and we have the most amazing clinicians and virtual reality people at university level. That allows us to look at the world and go, hey, we can do this, and we're the best around.
Bravo. Baf Kuka, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you, George.
All the best.
That's wonderful.
Baf Kuka on The Informer, talking to us about a very exciting development for Kiah Health. It's called the Heskett unit, which has been picked up by the ADF and, of course, our allies around the world.